In a land of dust and kings, of shepherds and soldiers, there was once a valley vast, echoing, and silent. A place where two nations stood face to face, day after day. But no sword had yet been drawn. It was the valley of Elah. And it was here that fear took root. For 40 days, the army of Israel stood on one hill, and the army of the Philistines on the other. Between them lay emptiness. Except for one man. He was a man not easily forgotten. Towering above all others, covered in armor that gleamed like fire in the sun, his name was Goliath. A giant. A champion of war. The pride of the Philistine army. And every morning, as the sun broke over the valley, Goliath stepped forward. His voice was deep like thunder, echoing from hill to hill. And with each step, he issued the same challenge. Send me a man. Let him come down to fight me. If he defeats me, we will become your servants. But if I defeat him, you will serve us. No man came. Not on the first day. Not on the second. Not for 40. Even Saul, king of Israel, warrior and leader, could not bring himself to answer the challenge. Fear reigned. But far from the battlefield, in the quiet hills of Bethlehem, a shepherd boy tended his father's sheep. His name was David. He was the youngest of 8 brothers. Small, unnoticed, untrained in battle. But David's heart was strong. He was brave, not because of his size or skill, but because of his faith in the living God. One day, David's father, Jesse, called him from the fields. His brothers were with the army, and Jesse wanted to send food to them. Bread, cheese, grain. So David obeyed. He left his sheep in the care of another and journeyed to the battlefield. When he arrived, the mood was strange. Soldiers whispered among themselves. They weren't preparing for battle. They were waiting. Watching. Hoping someone else would step forward. David heard the voice before he saw the man. The Philistine giant was shouting again, mocking Israel, mocking God. David watched in disbelief. How could this man speak such things, and no one answer him? Was there no one who trusted God? No one with courage? He asked about the giant, and the soldiers told him everything. About the reward King Saul had offered. About the fear that gripped every heart. About how no man dared to go. David's words stirred those around him. But not everyone welcomed them. His brother Eliab grew angry. Why are you here? He asked. Shouldn't you be with the sheep? You came just to watch. But David's heart was fixed. He wasn't here for glory or curiosity. He saw something no one else saw. Not just a giant. Not just a threat. But a man who defied the living God. Word spread through the camp. A boy had come. A boy who wasn't afraid. And soon, that boy stood before King Saul. The king looked at him young, small, with no armor and no experience. And he shook his head. But David spoke with quiet strength. I've faced lions. I've fought bears. God delivered me then, and he will deliver me now. Saul, with no better choice, agreed. He offered David his armor, his sword, his helmet. But when David put them on, he could barely move. This wasn't his way. So he removed the armor. He picked up his staff. And he walked to a stream. There, David chose 5 smooth stones. He placed them in a pouch at his side. And with a sling in hand, he stepped into the valley. All eyes were on him. The soldiers of Israel watched in silence. The Philistines laughed. And Goliath, towering, snarling, amused, stepped forward once more. When he saw the boy, he laughed louder than ever. Is this what you send me? A boy with sticks? But David kept walking. He saw the giant, but he also saw God. He reached into his pouch and drew out a single stone. He placed it in his sling, and he began to swing it faster, tighter, stronger. Then, with a flick of the wrist, the stone flew. It sailed through the air. It struck Goliath square in the forehead. And just like that, the giant fell. The earth shook as he crashed to the ground. Silence fell across the valley. The impossible had happened. David had defeated the giant. Victory swept through the Israelite army like fire through dry grass. They charged forward, shouting with joy, chasing the Philistines who turned and ran in fear. The battle was won. But the victory wasn't David's alone. He knew that. He had been an instrument. It was God who delivered Goliath into his hands. As David stood over the fallen giant, he looked not to the crowd, but upward. In that moment, he became more than a shepherd. He became a symbol of faith, of courage, of what happens when one heart truly believes. But not everyone celebrated. King Saul watched from his throne with a troubled heart. The people sang songs of David's victory. They praised him, honored him, loved him. And Saul grew afraid. For he saw that David was not just a boy anymore. He was the future. And so, from that day on, Saul's heart turned cold toward David. Jealousy crept in. Fear of losing the crown. Fear of being forgotten. But David didn't seek the crown. He wasn't chasing a throne. He was chasing the heart of God. He had walked into the valley with nothing but faith. And he walked out with a nation behind him. This is the story of David and Goliath. A story passed down for generations. A story not just of giants and slings, but of what happens when a person truly believes lot hat with God, all things are possible. The giant fell that day, but the real battle was already won, in the heart of a shepherd.